Well, hello, everybody. I have a great topic to share with you tonight because I was really opened. My eyes were open when I was at seminar about something. The company mentioned a few times about the age of our company being 61 years old and the future of our company. And they spent a lot of time talking about social media, TikTok, what Instagram, whether you are a social media person. They talked a little bit about building virtually, but they talked about the wave of, the future wave of our company. And so here's something I want you to think about. When people like LaRonda Daigle or Pam Shaw or pretty much a lot of the nationals, Lisa Madsen, most of those women joined Mary Kay when they were in their 20s or very early 30s, most of them in their 20s. And so what happens is when you get to be 35 and 40, you continue to share the opportunity typically with women who are of your age. So if you joined at 20, you're sharing the opportunity with 20-year-olds because you can relate to them, right? You don't typically at 20 run up to some 55-year-old woman and say, join my team. So as the company has gotten older, and the nationals have gotten older and we've all gotten older, right? We tend to recruit people and share the opportunity with women of our own age. So the company's continuing to grow and there's nothing wrong. I mean, there's the company's doing great, right? They're flourishing. Oh, okay. So as I was saying, so the company is really looking at this. The company is growing and there's lots of demographics that are growing still. That was my entire calendar. Anyway, sorry about that. So one of the things that we're finding though is that a lot of us in our 50s and 60s and beyond are not reaching out to the 20-year-olds. And so the company really, for the future of our company to continue to be strong, one of the things they asked us was how many of us are doing multi-generational events? And I thought about that name and I thought, multi-generational event. That means I'm being very specific, saying, hey, come and bring your daughter, or hey, daughter, come and bring your mom. And so, one of the things that I want you guys to kind of wrap your head around is who would that be if you were going to do that. So let's just take an idea. What if you did a multi-generational event, all right? And you did you could literally call it a multi-generational event. There's nothing wrong with doing that, right? But here's just one idea. One idea might say something like a multi-generational pajama party, and you would say, wanting to up your skincare game, join us for a generational skincare event as we pamper women of all ages in all 50 states. Or you could do something crazy like we're doing a statewide thing, and you could do it on Zoom where you mail out samples. You could even do one where you say we're working on within like a week to have somebody representing all 50 states and talk to your director. Maybe you guys could host a live on Zoom or Facebook, a Monday party, a Wednesday party, and a Friday party. And the goal would be, okay, I got somebody in Montana. Oh, I've got somebody in Texas. Like you could really make this a fun game, but you could put on the invite that you're looking for women, of course, 10 to 20, and you could put on there not ready for anti-aging or not interested in anti-aging because they're going to be there. But the key group would be the 20 to 35-year-olds. And those are women that are interested in beginning anti-aging. And then you could do 35 to 45 women that you could put on a little invite, slow it down. And then over 45 would be like throw it in reverse, like, or turn the clock back, something like that. So I'm just wondering, how often are we doing that? My guess is probably not very often, right? So you could do something multi-generational like that. You could also do something where you could do like um, a beauty and bonding event where you could say, oh my gosh, bring your daughter. So the thing is, I look at my customer base as soon as I got home from seminar and I was looking through my notes and I thought, I wonder what the diversity is in my customer base by age. And I looked and I have about 120 women that I have on PCP and the preferred customer program. And so I looked at that and I thought, how many of these girls are in their 20s? And I would say it was probably a dozen. So what I want to do is I want to reach out to them and ask them if they would host one with their friends because it's all about getting together, whether they want to post it on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. But I'm going to reach out to those dozen of girls that are in their 20s and say, oh my gosh, I'm going to challenge to do 30 faces between August 15th and September 15th that are in their 20s. Who do you know? And they'll go, oh my God, I have tons of friends. And I'm like, great. How would you like a huge half off shopping spree? So you could reach out to those. But let's say you look at your customer base, maybe you've got 30 customers, and let's say one is in her 20s. Well, my guess is that you have customers between 40 and 55. Those women are going to have daughters. Generally, if they're 40, I would say 45 to 55, they're going to have daughters in their 20s, right? So you could reach out to those women that are, 45 to 55 and say, oh my gosh, I'm in a challenge to do 30 mother daughter pamperings. Do you happen to have a daughter or daughter-in-law or niece that is in her 20s? And be really intentional. There's nothing wrong with being specific. Okay, you could call it mother-daughter makeovers. You could actually, between now and the end of the month, I would totally use the makeover contest and let them know that you're looking for 20 multi-generational entries, meaning the daughter got to be at least 18, the mom, whatever age, and maybe the grandmother. Can you imagine how fun that would be? First of all, the odds of them winning the makeover contest are now three times as likely, right? Because they've got three family members entering. But I just really started thinking about what the company was doing. So I'm going to really utilize it to my advantage for this month because of the makeover contest. So as I was facialing a young lady today who I met at the post office, who works at the post office, she said, oh my gosh, well, my sister's so much better at this. And I go, wait, you have a sister? Because granted, I just met this gal because she works at the post office. And she goes, I do. And I said, well, how old is your sister? She said, she just turned 30. And I go, why is she not here with you? She goes, well, because she works during the day. This gal works shift work. And I said, oh, and I said, well, I'm assuming you have a mom. She goes, yeah. And I go, where does she live? She goes, down the street from you. And I said, what? So when she left, because she's thinking about joining, I said, well, you could always bring your mom and your sister next time. And if I pamper them, their sale would be yours. And again, sharing the career opportunity with her. But my point is that what are you doing to build that generation? So think about this. What if you added to your team 3 to 5 women in their 20s between now and September 15th? What I'm going to share with you is you could even put on your invite if you wanted to, love your, skincare feedback. And you could also say, I'd love to know what social media you use. And I'd love to know which social media has the greatest influence on you or you tend to, reference. And talk to the girls and put on there, love your feedback on Mary Kay TikTok, love your feedback on Mary Kay Instagram. Text me and let me know if I can send you some links. And you send them the link of Mary Kay Instagram and send them the Facebook page of Mary Kay Corporate or even Louise Costco, who uses all Mary Kay products. So it just gives them a chance to share. So when you say, I'd love your input or I'd love your opinion, every woman's got an opinion, trust me. And so when you reach out to them, it makes them feel like a leader, like, wow, somebody your age, I know I'm older, but that's kind of how they think. Somebody your age would want to get my input. So last night we did makeovers in Sacramento, and we had an 18-year-old young lady, a 17-year-old, I think one was 15, and the other one also just turned 18. And so with the two that were 18, we could enter them in the contest, but I would reach out to them and say, do you have an older sister? Do you have an older cousin? Who do you know in their 20s? Because by their 20s, they're usually going off to college, possibly planning a wedding. They have what it takes. Now, here's what's fun about the multi-generational. Let's say the 20 to 21-year-old daughter comes and brings her 45-year-old mom. Who more likely has the money in the family? The 45-year-old mom or the 21-year-old young girl? Probably the 45-year-old mom. Now, I heard an interesting statistic today that said that roughly 70% of the wealth of our country right now is being held by people who are 55 and over. And that's not typical. They said typically it's between like 33 and 36%. I don't know where this person got their stats, but those were stats that they shared. And I'm thinking, okay, so if the wealthiest generation is the over 55, and let's say they had a daughter young at 20, right? Then their daughter, if they're 55, their daughter would already be in her 30s. If they waited to 25 or 28 to have a child, then their daughter would be late 20s. Do you get my drift? So what I'm wondering is how many of your clients could you send a flyer to and say, I'm looking for 20 mother daughter or mother niece multi-generational spa sessions. So if you book 10 of those, that would be 10 young girls and their mom or their aunt or their, you know what I'm saying? I think you guys would be blown away because nothing is more, I don't want to say frustrating, but the company's number one feedback is that when they go out and talk to the 20-year-olds, that what they're typically hearing is like, oh my gosh, is that still around? Like maybe they've heard of it, you know what I mean? Or they'll say, oh my gosh, I think my grandmother used to use that. Okay, so it's up to us. Now, I don't get that hardly at all anymore. Once in a blue moon, but most of the time, a lot of the 20-year-olds don't know Mary Kay. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I go, are you on Instagram? And they go, I am. And I'm like, okay, pull up your phone. I want you to check these two people and give them a couple young, trend-setting women in Mary Kay that you want them to check out. So if you don't know, text your director and ask her. Now, if you want a great mother-daughter team, Sonia Paez and her daughter. Sonia Paez's daughter, I don't know how old she is, but I'm guessing that Kimberly's probably late 20s, mid 20s, something like that. And Sonia Paez, of course, is a national sales director, beautiful Latina, but her and her mom are a great mother-daughter duo. So who, because think about this, you could recruit the mom on your team, and then the mom could then turn and recruit her daughter. Does that make sense? So I really want to tell you guys to really put some effort into this. Make the next 30 days. So between now and September 15th, a little more than 30 days. What can you do to expose yourself to more women? I would say that are, I'm just going to throw it out there. Let's say 23 to 33. They're out of high school. They more than likely have a job. They may or may not be living at home still. They may be off to college. They might be planning a wedding. They might be already expecting their first baby. Who do you know who's young who just had a baby? They want to stay home so bad. They want to, and if you live in California, it's really hard to stay home with little ones because it's such an expensive cost of living here. So those are just some lists you can make. Who do you know that's in their 20s had a baby? Who do you know? And you know, another great place to tap into is young teachers. So you could say, who do you know who's a teacher in her that's under 35? Who do you know who's a teacher that's under 35 years old? Everyone's going to know one, right? Who do you know who's working at a restaurant who's under 35? Now I'm not prejudging and saying you can't have team members over 35. Of course, recruit the girls in their 30s, but the whole point of it is multi-generational things are really, really fun. So I'm just going to give you a couple little ideas that I've seen. So this one is actually called um it's got a picture of these are just some little sample kind of template. So I was going to share with you some of the wording on this. So, wow, this font is super tiny. How do I make this bigger? So it says on here, generational pajama party. And I thought, well, that's super cute, right? So it says generational pajama party. Wanting to up your skincare game, join us. In fact, let me just screen share this. This is an Erin Marlowe graphic, so I can't share the graphic with you because I do pay for Erin Marlowe stuff. But this will just give you an idea. So it says, I'll make this a little bit smaller. So it says generational pajama party. Wanting to up your skincare game? Join us for our generational skincare event as we pamper women of all ages in 50 states. Now, again, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do 50 states. You could say, we're featuring all the women on the West Coast. And you could say, please, who do you know in Washington, Oregon, Nevada, California, Arizona? You know what I mean? Like you could break it up. And then the following week, you could say, who's in the central time zone? Or you could do an all US state, or you could do it every county in California. I mean, get creative, but this just gives you an idea. This has got a date, and they're doing this in a private Facebook group. You could do that. You could do it on Zoom. And again, I would change this up a little bit to put like 10 to 22. I wouldn't say no signs of aging. I would probably say um, no interest in anti-aging. And then I would say 22 to 40. I don't know very many 22 years have modern, but interested in anti-aging, and the over 40, it's like turn the clock back. Stop, put it in reverse. And then you can say RSVP to reserve your complimentary sample pack, and you can include a QR code or whatever. But this just gives you an idea of something. Again, it's all in mindset. It's all in what you're intentional. Mary Kay used to always say, whatever you put energy into will grow. So I really appreciate your time tonight, you guys. I just want you guys to be intentional with this, and you could do many things. I think we have 7 mother-daughter teams in our unit, and it's super fun because the way the mother markets her business is completely different than the way the daughter does. And that's what makes those mother-daughter duos so much fun, is because the daughter's like, Mom, you're not doing that right, and you need to post this and you need to say that. And so the daughters help the moms with social media or working virtually or whatever. So I want to challenge each and every one of you to reach out to at least 15 women that you know that are either or that are in between, I'd say 22 to 32. If you don't know that many, if you don't know 15 people in that age, I'm pretty sure you do. You can go on your Facebook and look at who your friends are. Who do you know who has probably a daughter or a niece in that age group? So I reached out to a woman named Karen. I hadn't running. I'd lost touch with Karen. She lost touch with me. We haven't seen each other in 3 years. Went to a chamber mixer. She's standing right there. I gave her a huge hug. We talked for a few minutes, caught up, and I said, you know what? I would love to borrow your face for a makeover for the contest. And she goes, I'd love to enter. And I said, great. So then I said to her, Karen, who do you know that you could bring that is probably in her 20s or 30s? I really want to get a diverse, because Karen's probably in her late 50s. I really want to get a diverse age group. And she goes, oh, I have a young lady who's like a daughter to me. I'll bring her. She happens to be home from college on a soccer scholarship. I said, great. She brought her. The young lady had heard of Mary Kay, had never tried Mary Kay. None of it. Not the charcoal, not the eye makeup remover, anything. When we were done, she couldn't stop touching her face. Now, she's an athlete. If you're playing college level soccer, you're an athletic stud. Like you know what I'm saying? Like makeup, zero importance. Sunscreen, yes. Skincare, yes. Makeup, I said, have you ever tried CC cream? No. Do you know how to put it on? No. And this gal's 22. And so I'm just saying, by the time I was done, she couldn't stop feeling her face. And she says, I wish I had more money to buy everything. And I said, well, have you ever thought about doing this with school? She says, yeah, but I have no time to work. And I said, well, what if you just did like a little event a month? And she says, well, what do you mean? I said, well, what if they just came to your apartment like the first Friday of the month or whenever you don't have a soccer game and they just came to play? And you could literally just do, she goes, oh, I could do one thing a month. And I said, well, you should really check this out. So she's hopefully going to join my team. She is young, competitive athlete. And so I said to her, I said, you need to talk to the other girls you go to school with. So what I will tell you guys is if this is on the forefront of your mind and you say as you walk out the door, God put in my path today an amazing, positive, energetic woman in her 20s that wants to make an impact. These women, here's what I will tell you is their hot button. It's working with a company that has a purpose. So go on marykay.com. If you don't know this already, go not on the In Touch, go on marykay.com and go on there and look at some of the causes that our company is sponsoring, whether it be domestic violence shelter grants, whether it be the cancer research grants, whether it be what they're doing over in Europe for sex trafficking, getting the young girls out of sex trafficking, whatever it is, the fact that we focus very heavily on having zero carbon footprint with our manufacturing plant. Now, if you happen to be hearing this video and you have daughters in that age group, oh, I would so go to town. I would say to your daughter, how would you like a lot of free product? She'll go, Mom, what do I have to do? Say, here's the deal. You get 5 of your friends and their moms over here. So if you've got a daughter who's 22, 23, 24, 25, have her bring her 5 friends and their moms over. Do a big party of 10. Have your daughter assist you. She might then look at this and go, okay, I think I want to join your team because this was super easy and you just made a ton of money. And so, again, it's a great way to tap into a completely different generation. And we have to look at the future. If everybody on your team is in their 50s and 60s, no offense, because I am in that age group, right? Where's your business going to be in 10 years? Just saying. So, you do need to stay relevant. And so, maybe you need to start following people that are on Instagram and TikTok and look at what they're doing. You don't have to do what they're doing, but look at it to stay relevant. Okay. I hope you guys enjoyed this and I appreciate you for jumping on.